Yo, what is happening, everybody? It is Greg Ehrenberg here from Stokastic.com, and we're about to be breaking down, well, really whatever it is that you guys would want me to talk about right now. So we've got Thursday Night Football coming up tonight. On Sunday, we've obviously got the main slate. We're sponsored by OwnersBox here, and I'm going to build some lineups out using the tools we have at Stokastic.com, the contest generator, the Sims tool, and whatever it is that you guys have questions about, we could explore as we build some lineups here. If you want to sign up at OwnersBox and you haven't already, here's a great reason to do so. When you sign up at OwnersBox for the first time, using the link that we have below, you get 1 week totally free of all the data that we have at Stokastic.com. So our Sims tool, our contest generator, all stuff that I'm about to show here on screen, as I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing because I am a total dunderhead. The contest generator, the Sims tool, all included as part of our football package now, including the stuff like our player projections, ownership projections. It is all included. And I just realized that I also didn't sign in. So really off to quite the start here, where I accidentally logged myself out, it looks like. Let's see if now get us back in. There we go. Back in now. All right, so let's build some lineups out for OwnersBox. If anybody has any questions for myself at all over the course of the show, throw them into YouTube chat. It is something that on these shows where I'm just here by myself, it could be time for you. So if you have a question you want to ask me about the main slate, about the Thursday night slate, or about anything at all pertaining to DFS, or it doesn't even have to be DFS related. It could be your fantasy football team or whatever. Throw it into YouTube chat and we could definitely talk about that. And then if anybody wants any sort of requests in terms of certain things that we could go about doing here, whether it's building lineups for Showdown tonight or whether it's building lineups for the main slate, we definitely address that as well. But for right now, let's start and build some lineups for Showdown because that is the slate that is going to be coming up closest to us. So what I just did right now is I selected 10,000 lineups that are going to be built in the lineup in the contest generator here, and we'll see what it is that's projected to do well for the purposes of OwnersBox for tonight's game. And yeah, a lot of this stuff too, if players are good value on one site, stands to reason they're going to be on pretty much every other site as well. And one more time, if you guys haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Question in the YouTube chat from Cody Fisher wants to know, do I use Fantasy Cruncher, then take them over to the Sims tool? I do not. I used to before we had the contest generator. I used to use Fantasy Cruncher, but now I just build my lineups in here because it's super easy, right? You just press build and it builds out the 10,000 lineups. You could do it in Fantasy Cruncher, but to me, I just find it easier to do it in the contest generator, Cody. But yeah, if you want to build your lineups in Fantasy Cruncher, you certainly can. I find it just easier to build my lineups right in here, though. By the way, shout out to Jared Koshwer. Apologies if I pronounced your last name incorrectly, but this just won his first OwnersBox contest. Love to see it. What did you win, Jared? Was it one of the baseball contests today? You're talking about one of the football contests from the other day. Let me know what it is you ended up winning. Congrats, though. That's awesome. Love to see it. So just built out my pool for tonight, and now we'll go out and simulate the contest. Let's see what the payout structure is for the main contest over on OwnersBox and what percentage it pays out to first place, because that is definitely going to determine what settings that I put on here. So it pays out 20% to first. So we'll go from 25 to 20. Now we'll sim the lineups and see what ends up coming up here. And I assume we're going to be getting to a lot of Christian McCaffrey. I know another content that I've done today, Christian McCaffrey showed up a whole bunch, but I'm interested to see what value plays show up on OwnersBox and how that might differ from some other sites once it is that we are done simulating out these lineups. So what we did here is I built out 10,000 lineups, and now it's being simulated the slate 40,000 times right here. And then we'll see based on that which individual lineups and players end up projecting to make us the most money for tonight. Main contest today on OwnersBox, by the way, is the Stiff Arm $25,000 prize pool, 5,000 to first place over there. So that is the contest structure that I'm building and simulating these lineups for, is that big contest tonight. And a follow-up from Cody says, thanks, Greg. Was into a lot of the tight end in the flex on the main slate on Sunday. Thought maybe Fantasy Cruncher could help with that. Yeah, so one thing I'm going to say about that is it's still just based on projections and sims. So if you're getting to a lot of lineups that are heavy on tight ends, it could just be that tight ends project well on that individual slate. And to me, like, I'm not really too concerned what positions I get to in the flex. I just want to play whoever is projecting the best relative to their projection and the ownership. If it ends up being tight ends, cool. If it ends up being wide receivers, also cool. If it's running backs, cool. If it ends up being 2 quarterbacks, like we have SuperFlex over on OwnersBox, that is cool with me also. So it's going to be slate to slate in terms of what you're getting to. But I don't think that just because you were getting lineups with tight ends in the flex, it's necessarily wrong. But yeah, if you wanted to have more control over your lineups, you could go into Fantasy Crunch. You could just build lineups and try to avoid lineups that have multiple tight ends in them. Follow up from Jared said the early slate of baseball and said that he filled out the lineup while watching us on the show. So congrats, Jared. Do love to see anybody who wins any sort of tournament. So good hit for you over there. Lineups that we just built here for OwnersBox for tonight, and we can look at who are the top overall showdown plays for tonight. Who's popping up most predominantly for us, and highest overall projected lineup here does have Christian McCaffrey in the multiplier spot with Daniel Jones, Paris Campbell, Isaiah Hodgins, and Wendell Robinson. So Robinson expected to make his season debut for the Giants tonight. And Robinson looked really good last year when we saw him play, but what ends up happening? He gets hurt, as did almost everybody who was a pass catcher for the Giants last year. Tears his ACL, going to be making his season debut tonight. Is he going to be limited to some extent? Probably. But the Giants wide receiving core is so thin that I think if you're playing on a site where he's really cheap, you can make a case for him, especially because there's so few Giants to get to today. You know, you got Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley is out. Am I dying to play Matt Breida against the 49ers? Not really. I expect the Giants to be playing from behind, so it stands to reason one of these cheap pass catchers is going to be decent for their price, and I'm probably going to be just rotating a lot of these guys in and out of lineups. Anyway, looking through the top projected lineup there, just went through that. Let's look at some of the lineups that are projected to have the most dupes on OwnersBox, and yeah, some super, super heavily duped lineups that showed up in my portfolio here, and a lot of them still projected to be some of my best lineups. So one thing that will definitely make it so that I'm getting to more lineups that are expected to be duped on OwnersBox as compared to, you know, maybe like a big slate on DraftKings, just the percentage payout to first. So that's a different where a 20% first payout structure might differ from like a DraftKings tournament where the Million Maker tonight is what, a $2.2 million prize with 1 million of it going to first place. That's where some of the unique lineups become a little bit more important, a little bit less so in these smaller contests here on OwnersBox. Follow up here from Cody Fisher. Cody says, any tips and tricks of narrowing down to top 150 lineups after simming? Yeah, I sort my lineups by top ROI. And then, I mean, super basic here, but I sort my lineups just by simulated ROI, which is the default in our Sims tool. And then I just quick favorite the top 150 lineups. And that's what I end up playing. So that's how I go about doing it. That's how I recommend doing it. If you want to in any way alter your lineups, you could use the ROI boost tab here and you could change some of the individual players. This is, I think, the best way to alter your lineup. So let's say that you don't want to get as much of George Kittle. You could change George Kittle from, you know, neutral here to negative 20% ROI boost. Click boost ROI. Then you unfavorite all these lineups, resort them by the sim ROI, refavorite the top 150 again. And then you'll see the exposure here on George Kittle has gone from 45% or 44%, whatever the number was before, to 18%. So that's the easiest way to customize your lineups. I'm going to go back and make this neutral, though, so that we have a better feel for what our best lineups are, because that was just kind of an arbitrary player and number I picked to prove a point there. But best overall plays for tonight's showdown slate that we're getting to over here on OwnersBox, getting to 22% of Christian McCaffrey in the captain spots. Looks like we're going to be pretty spread out in the captain here. Getting to McCaffrey, number 1, Brock Purdy 2, Deebo Samuel 3, George Kittle 4, Brandon Ayuk 5. Then we finally get to Daniel Jones here 6th as far as the captain ownership that I was getting to. These lineups are going to be skewing really heavily towards the 49ers. I found the same thing when I built lineups for any sites there, whether it be DraftKings or FanDuel. I'm getting to a bunch of the 49ers side of the game, not so much of the Giants. And if you look at our most rostered players here, Kittle, Purdy, McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, 4 of our top 5 most rostered players coming from the 49ers. The one giant making it into our top 5 most rostered is Paris Campbell, and that's due to a couple of reasons. Number one, him being super cheap, and then number two also is just we have to play one player from the Giants, hence Paris Campbell making it into lineups. Other guys from the Giants we're getting to here, Darren Waller, Darius Slayton. Let's see. Yeah, Daniel Jones down here in 22% of laps. So actually, I'm coming in underweight to the field on Daniel Jones. If we look at the projected ownerships, let's see if there's any contrarian players we're getting overweight to. By the way, any questions you guys have at all, throw them into YouTube chat. I'll be able to answer anything you guys want to ask me while we're doing this. All right, so contrarian players. What do we want to say is the cutoff for a contrarian? Right? Because obviously it's different for a single game slate than it is when we're going to look at like the main slate, which we're going to break down in a second here. But for the flex, because, you know, captain could really be almost anybody outside of him. Although with that said, McCaffrey's only projected for 11.7% captain ownership here. 10% to Purdy, 10% for Samuel. So it is fairly spread out over on OwnersBox. Single digit owned players or just lower owned players I'm overweight to. Let's sort by leverage. 27.4% of the field playing George Kittle, got to win 45% of my top lineups. Paris Campbell being another one. How about Jalen Hyatt in the flex spot here? Rookie for the Giants. I know Wendell Robinson's going to be back in the mix, but only 1% exposure to Jalen Hyatt by the field. That doesn't look like a bad guy to take a contrarian stance on. Not anything like insane, right? Got to him in 5% of lineups. But if you think of that, him being 1% on, I'm 5x the field on Jalen Hyatt. So he's somebody who's pretty easy to get overweight to the field to as a contrarian option today. As far as captains, you know, Brandon Ayuk is low owned. George Kittle's low owned. They're each 6%, got overweight to each of them individually. Slightly overweight to Matt Breida. Getting to him, you know, more or less neutral, but a little bit overweight as far as it comes to Breida. It's just such a terrible game script for him, though. The Giants are going to be trailing in the game. Is Breida going to be involved in the passing game? Are they going to go to somebody else on the depth chart? It's really hard to say because Saquon Barkley is such an important part of the Giants offense. And also, frankly, as well, has Ayuk officially been ruled out? Last I had seen, he was trending towards being out, but I've been on meetings all afternoon. Let's see. Is Ayuk officially out now? Brandon Ayuk. Is Ayuk out? Searching Twitter. Ayuk. Yeah, as of 6 minutes ago, he is not expected to play. So actually broke while I was on the show. That's why I missed it, because I'm sitting here doing the show. Thank you for the shout out, or for the heads up, I should say, Ocean 333. So yeah, this is going to be different. Now, with that said, I've ran these lineups before Ayuk was ruled out. So it might take a minute until this is updated. But yeah, so no Ayuk. Let's look through some of the other 49ers pass catchers and see, like, all right, this happened in real time. Who's going to benefit from the absence of Brandon Ayuk? And one thing that I think is definitely going to be the case is just guys like George Kittle, who are already getting a good amount of exposure to, Deebo Samuel as well. Those are two obvious pass catchers to be getting to more from the 49ers. Let's see. Who else, though? Are there any other 49ers pass catchers that were making it into any kind of significant amount of lineups? By the way, the official tweet from Adam Schefter, just so you guys are aware, it is Brandon Ayuk is listed as questionable, but he is not expected to play. So Brandon Ayuk, and that is as of 5 minutes ago. Would have been cool if Schefter could have tweeted that out, 25 minutes ago, so I would have had that information coming into the show, but hey, it's the way that the news breaks sometimes. Let's see. Other 49ers players here that we are getting to. And by the way, Cody Fisher saying he noticed the projections update time in the top right saves him a lot of refreshes. Yes. If you guys are ever, oh, by the way, you see in real time right here, we did just get a projection update. So 4:44 p.m. Eastern time, which is right now. So projections just got updated. I assume that is for the Ayuk news. Let's see what happens here. Let's build out another set of 10,000 lineups and see if Ayuk is now out of the contest generator. And then Trippy saying Diggs out for the season. Yeah, the lesser of the Diggs brothers, Cowboys defensive back. He tore his ACL, I think it was, in practice today. Lots of updates coming out from the middle of the day, which we don't typically see as much at this point in the NFL season. But we got a handful of news that dropped. Cordarrelle Patterson didn't practice today. Ayuk not expected to play. Brandon Cooks looks like he is going to end up playing this weekend. Justice Hill didn't practice today. Odell Beckham didn't practice today. So yeah, lots of stuff going down here. And then also, if you guys see right up here, like Cody was mentioning, you see where the ownership and project. Oh, actually, so the projection probably isn't going to be updated quite yet in the contest generator because I see it's not here. Let's see though. We will see. This would be a waste of a minute if we find out that it's not quite yet updated for Ayuk. If not, we could go to building lineups for the main slate, which I think is what I'm actually going to do here because, yeah, I don't think the projections are quite updated for Ayuk. So let's build lineups for the main slate now instead. And then Aiden Elston says, can you explain how the OwnersBox work? Can you use them to enter contests? So the OwnersBox, no, you cannot. There are some contests that you could use them to enter lineups with certain contests. For the most part, the way the OwnersBox work is it's a drip, right? So it's, I want to say off the top of my head, it's 4%. So basically for like every $25 that you spend on OwnersBox, you'll get $1 of your OwnersBox bucks that you'll be able to convert into real money. That's the way the OwnersBox bucks work. You play, and then they end up paying out. But let's go to the main slate now and see what we could end up building lineups for on the main slate. By the way, OwnersBox is SuperFlex, which is definitely one thing that separates it from DraftKings and FanDuel, is they can play two quarterbacks and make different kinds of game stacks there, which introduces another different and fun element to the game. But Aiden, does that answer your question? I think that I explained it the best that I could. But yeah, it's a drip. So basically, like I said, you spend every dollar you spend, 4% of that gets converted. Your OwnersBox, you can move those into real dollars. Yeah, thanks. All right, cool. So we got it all figured out. Lineups being built for the main slate as we are talking through. Typically, when we're building lineups here for the showdown slates, it'll take 60-ish seconds or so to build out lineups for the top 150. Or sorry, it'll take about 60 seconds to build out the 10,000 lineups in the contest generator for the single game slates. And then it'll take 2-3 minutes or so to build out your 10,000 lineups for the main slates. Cody wants to know, favorite bet tonight with Ayuk out? Well, let's see, because I don't know what the odds have moved to because that happened while I was on the show. But let me go and look over at OddsShopper, and I'll try to sort by the 49ers, and I'll see what I could find for them or for tonight's game and see if there's anything that stands out. All right. Tonight's game, I guess the projections getting updated is stalling out the contest generator a little bit here. But I'll answer Cody's question here, and we'll see what it is that we could find for potential bets on the 49ers. Anything you guys like for bets for tonight with 49ers out? There we go. Contest, the lineup's done being built now. So we'll sim them. And I know OwnersBox made the top, what is the top contest for Sunday? It's $35K prize pool. Or sorry, $35,000 to first place, $175,000 prize pool. So that's 20%. So run a sim based on that. As for tonight, let's see if anything's standing out. We should have projections updated now in OddsShopper. Is there anything that looks good for tonight? So most of the lines are down right now on the 49ers side. There aren't a lot of books that have props up. I think you can make a case for like George Kittle or Deebo Samuel overs, but I don't know if books, like I said, I think most books have taken the lines down with the Ayuk news. Like DraftKings doesn't have lines up right now. FanDuel doesn't. Like some of these books, like Bet Rivers does, Tipico does, but not anything that like a lot of you guys are going to be playing on most likely. I wish I had a better answer for you, Cody, other than just at the time that we're doing this right now, books don't have lines up. Let me pull up FanDuel and see what it is they do have up right now. So they have up nothing. They pulled everything. So no use. No use. If there's something that stands out when lines come back up, Cody, I'll tweet about it. But I mean, not really a whole lot I could do when the lines aren't up. All right. So main slate, we are about to find out the sim results for main, and what the system is doing right now is of those 10,000 lineups built out in the contest generator, they're currently playing against each other 40,000 times. And from that, it's going to say which lineups are projected to be the most positive EV as soon as it's done simming here. Is anybody picking the Giants to be competitive tonight? Like, I'm not even going to ask if anybody's picking the Giants to win, because I know that answer is no. But is anybody picking the Giants to be competitive today? Keep the game close? Or is it going to be like that dumb Sunday night football game where the Giants, was it Sunday night or Monday night football? I think it was a Sunday night game where the Giants played the Cowboys and then the game was decided by 40 points. Final score was 40-0, and it was not watchable at all. I think this game is very live to have something similar like that happen. Compiling results. Compile. Let's see if we have any questions in Discord that we could answer for people. Jared saying he thinks a lot. I think it'll be close. Lots of money coming in on the 49ers. I can't imagine the spread is going to move that much from the Ayuk news. Maybe a half point, but probably not. It's crazy to me that FanDuel still has the line down, because that news came out, fairly recently, but it's not like this is news that was, 3 minutes ago, nor does it have a massive impact on the spread. Like, I would be stunned if we find out that Brandon Ayuk moved the spread by like 4 or 5 points. Like, it's just not within the realm of possibility. So I don't understand why the line isn't up on FanDuel right now. Does DraftKings have a line up for the game? For the spread in total, I mean? Let's see. So DraftKings does. They have the 49ers favored by 10.5. What was the line before the Ayuk news, though? Probably 10.5, right? And FanDuel still hasn't posted another line. This is really getting jammed up. Yeah, Jared saying minus 10.5 on DK. Let's try it again. Yeah, looks like just data being updated, so it's running a little bit slow. But thanks for letting me know, Cody. Do appreciate it. Hopefully we can get this done within the next few minutes so we could figure out who the best plays are for the main slate. At least we got to do a sim for the Thursday night slate and kind of go over all that. Seems like it's running now. Yeah, so Cody, earlier in the day, there was an update being done to it where it temporarily went down, but it was working at the top of the show. And like, it could just be from the projections being updated due to the Ayuk news. This is why Adam Schefter shouldn't be allowed to tweet while I'm doing shows. It's really his fault. Because then projection getting updated, Brandon Ayuk gets ruled out, I have to rerun stuff. This is either Schefter's fault or it's Ayuk's fault. Don't get injured and we don't have to run into these. Stay healthy. Same reason running backs are never going to get paid again. Can't stay healthy. So like we saw Nick Chubb gets injured on Monday night the other day. And I think a lot of people kind of looked at that and said, well, all right, this is why running backs have to get paid, because they have these, injuries that are life/career altering. But if you're a team, how can you ever justify paying them when you see that in? So like, I just view it the other way when a Nick Chubb injury like that happens, Whereas it's not reason for running backs should get paid. It's that teams are never going to be able to justify paying them. The point being, Brandon Ayuk shouldn't have gotten hurt today because then we wouldn't have to get the projections updated. And yeah, Jared followed up, said the line is the exact same with Brandon Ayuk being in/out. So just kind of goes to show how little value that somebody has in the grand scheme of things in football, an individual wide receiver. And Ayuk's good, but he's not even good enough to move the line by more than half a point. So line was 10.5 with Brandon Ayuk in. Line is 10.5 with Brandon Ayuk out. With that said, actually, DraftKings has the line at 10.5. FanDuel just posted at 10. Do you want a line shop here? If we go to, like, does anybody think there's value on Giants plus 10.5 on DraftKings when the line is 10 on FanDuel? I don't feel confident to go bet the Giants at that number. But if I had to place one bet on the spread of the game, it probably would be Giants plus 10.5. Let's see what the other props are listed now, if they're up for the 49ers passing game. They have just Christian McCaffrey over under 31.5. Oh, and there's a George Kittle as well. George Kittle at 47.5. It's tough though, right? Because the 49ers can end up winning via a blowout. And then if that ends up happening, right? 49ers winning a blowout. What's going to happen in the later stages of the game? There is going to be no rushing of the ball, particularly, I mean, there's going to be no throwing of the ball. They're not going to be running the ball with Christian McCaffrey. What are the odds on like Elijah Mitchell to score a touchdown tonight? Let's see. If we want Eli Mitchell to score a touchdown, anytime touchdown score, Mitchell. No, these odds are shit. Plus 280 on FanDuel. What does DK have it at? What does DK have it at? All right, now DK just took all the props down as I'm looking at it. All right. Well, we did what we could. Unfortunately, Ayuk got ruled out, and then we had lots of breaking news, and then also projections getting updated. Really screwed up what it was that I was trying to do on the show. But we will be back next week, guys, and we'll have better systems here. Nobody's allowed to get ruled out during the 30-minute time frame we're doing the show next week. That's the rule. I'm going to email Adam Schefter and let him know about it. I'm going to be in his DMs, and I'll tell him no ruling players out until after the show. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you have not done it, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck, and watch all the rest of our content tonight. We're going to have Josh and myself are going to be on MLB Live before lock, and then tonight, Lofty and Neil on NFL Live before lock, breaking down the NFL slate in full. So go check that out, guys. Good luck with all your lineups, and see you here later.